I thought I was in the perfect relationship. We'd been together for 3 years, and everything felt right. Her name was Chloe. She was smart, funny, beautiful. Everything I thought I ever wanted. But then, little things started to feel off. It wasn't one big event, but a series of small, almost unnoticeable cracks in the foundation of what I thought was our solid life together. It all started with her phone. For years, her phone was just another object in the room. She'd leave it on the coffee table, the kitchen counter, wherever. I knew her passcode not because I was Snoopy, but because she'd ask me to reply to a text for her while she was driving. It was a non-issue. Then, suddenly, it was attached to her hip. It was always in her hand, in her pocket, or face down on the table next to her. If she left the room, the phone went with her. It was a subtle shift, but it was the first clue that pricked my subconscious. One evening, we were watching a movie, and her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and a strange, unreadable expression flickered across her face before she quickly turned it over. I casually asked who it was. "Oh, just my mom," she said, a little too quickly. Her mom usually called. She rarely texted, especially not late at night. My internal alarm bells started ringing, very, very softly. I tried to ignore it. Paranoia, I told myself. You trust her. Don't be that guy. The next clue came a week later. Chloe had always been a homebody, like me. Our perfect Friday night was takeout and a new series to binge. But suddenly, she had a new, vibrant social life that didn't include me. It was girls' night, almost every weekend. At first, I was happy for her, but when I asked who she was going out with, the names were always vague. Just some friends from work, she'd say. I knew her work friends. We'd all hung out before. When I'd ask for specifics, like, "Oh, is Sarah going?" she'd get defensive. "Why are you interrogating me? Don't you trust me to have my own friends?" That was her new favorite line. It was a shield, a very effective one, because it immediately made me feel guilty and controlling. Then came the physical clues, a scent that wasn't her perfume clinging to her jacket. It was a men's cologne, something musky and completely different from my own. I pointed it out once, sniffing her jacket as she came in. "You smell different," I said. Trying to be playful, she froze. "I must have stood next to someone at the bar," she stammered, pulling the jacket off and throwing it in the laundry basket. The reaction was disproportionate. It wasn't a normal reaction. It was a guilty one. My inner detective, a part of me I never knew existed, was now fully awake. I started paying attention to everything. I wasn't proud of it. I felt like I was betraying her trust by even having these thoughts. But my gut was screaming at me. I started noticing her schedule. She claimed she was working late more often, but when I'd happen to call her office phone during those late hours, it would just ring and ring. Her excuse: "Oh, I was in a meeting in a different conference room." Plausible, but the pattern was becoming undeniable. The real turning point, the piece of evidence that I couldn't ignore, was a receipt. She'd asked me to grab a wallet from her purse to pay for a delivery. As I opened it, a folded-up receipt from a fancy restaurant fell out. It was a place we'd talked about going for a special occasion, but never had. The receipt was for 2 people, dated from a Tuesday night when she'd supposedly been stuck at the office with a deadline. The bill included 2 steak dinners and a bottle of expensive red wine. Chloe's a vegetarian, and she hates red wine. My heart sank into my stomach. It was like a physical blow. This wasn't paranoia. This was real. I put the receipt back, paid for the delivery, and tried to act normal for the rest of the evening, but my mind was racing. I felt sick. Who was she eating steak with on a Tuesday night? I had to know for sure. I hated myself for what I was about to do, but I couldn't live in this state of suspicion and anxiety any longer. The next girls' night came around. She got all dressed up, looking incredible. She gave me a quick kiss goodbye, the scent of her usual perfume now mixed with a nervous energy. "Don't wait up. It'll be a late one," she said with a bright, fake smile. About an hour after she left, I got in my car. I didn't even have a plan. I just started driving. I drove past the bar she usually went to with her actual friends. Her car wasn't there. On a whim, I drove towards the part of town where that fancy restaurant was. And there was her car parked on a side street a block away. I parked my own car where I could see hers, and I waited. I felt like a stalker, a creep. Every fiber of my being wanted to just go home and pretend I hadn't seen anything, but I couldn't. I had to see this through. 2 hours passed. It was the longest 2 hours of my life. My mind played out 1,000 different scenarios. Maybe there was a perfectly logical explanation. Maybe her car broke down and a friend gave her a lift from here. My brain was desperately trying to find an innocent reason. Then I saw them. She walked out of the restaurant, laughing. And she wasn't alone. She was with a guy. He was tall, well-dressed, and he had his arm around her waist. It wasn't a friendly gesture. It was intimate. As they reached her car, he leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't a peck on the cheek. It was a long, passionate kiss, under a streetlight, like a scene from a movie. A movie I never wanted to be in. I just sat there, frozen in my driver's seat. My world, the one I had so carefully built with her over 3 years, shattered into a million pieces right there on that dark street. It wasn't a sudden explosion. It was the final, devastating collapse of a structure that had been rotting from the inside for months. All the clues clicked into place. The phone, the girls' nights, the cologne, the lies about work, the vegetarian eating steak. It was a complete, coherent, heartbreaking picture. I didn't confront them. I didn't honk the horn or jump out of the car. I just watched as he got into his own car parked behind hers, and they drove off in separate directions. I drove home in a complete daze. When she got back a little while later, she was humming, looking happy. "Hey, you're still up," she said, surprised. "How was girls' night?" I asked, my voice flat, devoid of all emotion. "Oh, it was so fun. We had a great time," she chirped, avoiding my eyes. The lies were so effortless now. I didn't say anything else that night. The next morning, I packed a bag. When she came out of the bedroom, she saw my suitcase by the door. "Where are you going?" she asked, a confused look on her face. I looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't see the woman I loved. I saw a stranger. I just held up the restaurant receipt that I'd taken from her purse. Her face went pale. She opened her mouth to speak, to probably spin another lie, but no words came out. She knew. She knew that I knew. I didn't need to say another word. I just turned around, walked out the door, and closed that chapter of my life for good. It's a strange feeling, being a detective in your own life's tragedy. You solve the mystery. You find all the clues. You put the pieces together, and you get your answer. But it's not a victory. It's just an ending. And from that ending, you have to find a way to start again. Thanks for listening to my story. It was a tough time, but getting through things like this makes you stronger. If you've ever been through something similar, know that you're not alone. Hit that subscribe button for more stories about life, lessons, and everything in between. If you want to join my Discord group or my Roblox community, link is in the description.